businesses generated $60.8 million in business income in 2014. Medicaid expansion will create roughly 6,000 new jobs, possibly higher wages than minimum wage. Despite historically low unemployment levels, Maine's economy is still a major issue in the 2018 campaigns. That's because Maine's aging population, losses in traditional manufacturing industries, stagnant wages, and the lure of better paying jobs in other states continue to combine to create a workforce shortage for the foreseeable future. The question becomes, what concrete steps would be among your priorities for the next legislative session, and would you support college loan forgiveness programs as a means of encouraging students to stay in Maine after graduation?
This is an area where I agree with Governor LePage and some of the Senate Democratic leadership, Senator Libby, for example. I support a statewide bond program. I think the state should engage in student loan forgiveness and also potentially more fair student loan lending programs. Additionally, I serve on the Labor, Commerce, Research, and Economic Development Committee in the legislature, and so workforce is something that we focus on a lot. And one of the issues I think that we need to address is recruiting more young people and businesses to come to our state. And specifically, I think a key to that is broadband infrastructure. I meet people all the time that have moved to Maine for the way of life, the quality of our schools, the quality of the environment, who are commuting to companies that might be in other states, or they're working at home, whether it's software development. I know a woman who works in a publishing house. So I think if we were to improve our infrastructure to make high-speed, reliable internet access available in communities all across the state, we could more easily recruit both young people and businesses to grow Maine's economy and to also address our workforce shortages.
Thank you. I certainly support a college loan program for graduates who choose to stay in Maine and work in Maine. My recommendation is to keep it simple. I've tried to help one of my daughters navigate a system of, she's teaching in an area where supposedly she's supposed to get loan forgiveness, and it's really hard to get all of the details lined up in the school district to verify that indeed she's in a shortage area. So keep it simple. I support, as far as workforce development, I support fully funding the education formula, including supporting career technical education, community college system, and the University of Maine system, the publicly supported higher education institutions in Maine need our support, and they're key for preparing adults for careers. Thank you for bringing up the broadband. That was on my radar too, for economic development, as well as cell phones, cell service at the state, and as I alluded to earlier, I supported 1492, and it would have provided training for new Mainers who need to transfer, not only learn English, but also how to gain the skills in order to work in fields that are in high demand here in Maine.
I don't know if I can talk fast enough to answer all the questions here. So one of the things that are an issue in rural areas is the inability to imagine jobs or professions that we have never seen. So we need to address rural aspirations. We need to open up the world to the people who live in rural areas. Certainly, internet would be a great step forward. We have, in my district, there are huge areas that are without any internet service and no cellular service as well. One of the things that have affected us greatly is the elimination of industrial arts in middle school. That was a bad direction for education. There is a group called Sparks who is working on developing a connection between education, people who have businesses, people who are industry, and figuring out how we can best help out those people who work in those kinds of areas that are focused on industrial arts and are well needed in all areas of the state. So, I can see what time is up. Here we go.
This is a very, so many ways you could go with this answer. Something that I feel like we should get back to is looking forward. And like you were saying, Jim, that it's hard to imagine things you've never seen before, but we're going to have to do that. We almost had solar. I really wish that we could go back to that. I feel like that's a way we need to go. Solar and wind and bringing in new businesses, using the terrain and the assets that we have in Maine in a new way to bring in new jobs, bring in people from out of state and keep young people here with different kinds of jobs that we've never seen before. As for student loan forgiveness, it's like a whole big thing. I don't think that it should take you 20 plus years to pay off your college education in the first place. And considering I'm still paying off mine, it would be great to have loan forgiveness. So I'd like to see some specifics on that and how that would work. But that's a huge topic.
So David started us off today with a mention of concern over using the right phrase, social capital. And as soon as he said that, I said, oh, you know what? He's not talking about social capital. I think he's talking about human capital. And that's really what workforce development is about, is how do we go about developing human capital to help people be self-reliant and then help employers get things done. And we need to take a step back at the Department of Labor. We need to take a step back and think about what are some of the things that we can do as a state to make our system more flexible, because things are changing. You know, when I was a kid, I had no idea what a web designer might be, right? That wasn't even in my terminology. And so we don't know what's coming. When people become adults in our state, they may not understand exactly what skills are necessary. And so there's this whole credentialing process, this licensing process that's happening currently happening at the Department of Labor here in the state of Maine. And we need to take another look at exactly what we might be able to do there.
I also serve on the ALCRED committee with Senator Bellows, and some of the things that we've talked about, and I'll reiterate, is the need for broadband expansion. We talked about forgiveness of student college loans if they stay in the state for a number of years. I know in Augusta, our technical schools did have programs where they would actually, when a child came out of high school, they would have a skill so they could go to work if they didn't want to go on to a college. And so I think that we really need to push the 5 years. If you come here in Maine and you go to college, if you stay here 5 years, we'll help you with your debts. And I think that we really need to stress the vocational colleges, because I think we need those skills. Thank you.
I'm going to take that a step further. I would strongly support a $5 or $10 million bond issue that towns could draw on, and they could fund the cost of a tradesperson in their town getting an education in return for a commitment to work in that town for 10 years. Because I'll tell you folks, in the rural areas, we're going to be out of plumbers, electricians, oil burner people, and carpenters pretty darn fast. And they're not manufacturing them out there with 3D printers.
So I have a lot of friends who have chosen to work outside of Maine. And I think my cohort has been particularly susceptible to getting an education either here or away, and then going away and staying away. And for me, choosing to come back was a really big step that most of my friends were not willing to take. And when I asked them why, the reason is because we don't have the jobs here that they want to do. Those jobs are high-tech manufacturing, they're in clean energy, they're in coding, they're in a number of industries that we don't have in great abundance now, but we certainly could. Another issue, and I think that getting those industries here with the correct incentives and the correct policies would go a long way to bringing people here. I would support loan forgiveness as a means of building up our workforce. I would also say we have a lot of people who were displaced by the recession, who are not young people, but are still not ready to retire, either because they don't have the means or they're not at the age where they feel that they've run out of things to do in society. And I think that it's very important that we look at these new industries as a way of attracting people back into the workforce as well.
Thank you, Colleen, Madigan. I think Maine Care expansion brings thousands of jobs here, and those are usually good-paying jobs. It's not just CNAs, it's things like radiation techs, respiratory technicians, things like that. Broadband is a huge thing that can bring economic development. People will be able to work from their homes, or people will be able to start their own small business. The other thing I think is incentives, both education-wise, whether that's grants, specialized student loan forgiveness for folks in high-demand fields who are either displaced workers who used to work in manufacturing, or TANF recipients. We have a nice program, Parents as Scholars program, or new Mainers. The fact of the matter is we need more workers. I absolutely support the state doing something with student loan forgiveness because we're kind of a lower wage state than some of the closer states. People need to be able to make enough money to stay here. And the cost of college is prohibitive for many people. So they take a job out of state because they need to make a higher income. So I absolutely support that. Please.
Along with loan forgiveness, I would also like to see a program implemented where Maine residents who are enrolled in a degree granting program in either the community college or the University of Maine system be able to go tuition free.
All right, thank you all very much.